The first week of the Qatar World Cup has thrown up loads of surprises. Let's see if the second week is any easier to predict. Now, usually this would be the point where I show you guys the scoring so far. Well, I'm not really able to because essentially when one game week ends, the next one starts at 10 a.m. the next morning. There is no time for me to actually record the video and get it out so you guys can make your predictions for the second match days in the group. So what I'm having to do is I'm having to predict this quite early. I haven't managed to collect all your scores yet, but after the first couple of game days, there's one person who's considerably quite far ahead, so we need to make sure we stop that at the easiest convenience, thank you. As a result of me having to record this a little bit early as well, I haven't seen some of the games, which I'll talk about as I'm predicting them, but just to, give you guys a bit of an advantage, I don't know what's happened in the first match for some of these teams, so it's going to be an interesting one to predict for me. As soon as there is somewhat a gap in play between matches and between either the group stage and the round of 16 or whatever it might be, I will give you guys an update on how the scores are going, because by the end of this, we'll be able to find out who's got the best football international knowledge in the Matt Ayres community. The rules are on the screen right now, and some of you guys have got to be reminded of them because some of you didn't watch the whole video because you only predicted Group A, B, C and D. You missed out on 4 other groups worth of scores to predict, so I recommend you watch the whole video, guys, and make sure you're getting all the predictions in, because otherwise you're going to run out on points. Today we're on group games number 2, looking at group A, B, C and D first. These are the ones where I have seen the first fixture in these groups, so I do know a little bit about these teams and I can use that to maybe predict something a little bit stronger than I can later on. For example, I'm predicting this just after the Germany games finish, so that's what I've seen up to. Bloody Japan, lads! Group A then, we've got Qatar up against Senegal and we've got Netherlands up against Ecuador. Now, Ecuador obviously won 2-0 against a very weak Qatar. Qatar were poor. They didn't really put up any fight up against Ecuador, and that was a very straightforward win. The Netherlands, of course, went up against Senegal. Senegal lost 2-0 in that game, but I think they showed a little bit more than Qatar did up against Ecuador. So I've gone for Senegal to win 2-0, and I've gone for Netherlands to win 3-1 against Ecuador. I think it'll be one of those games, a bit like the France one this week. I think Ecuador will get the goal first, and then Netherlands will go, okay, we're suddenly in a game, are we? We need to step up the pace a little bit. And they'll come back through and win 3-1. But Netherlands looked all right. They didn't look as good as some other big teams have in their first fixture of this tournament, but they looked okay. I think Senegal are actually a harder team to play than maybe people realised, and Ecuador are going to be very much the same. I loved Ecuador's performance against Qatar. Qatar just not really at the races. I think they might actually come out of this group with 0 points, which is disappointing. Group B is a group that we're very happy with. After England won 6-2 against Iran, it was a little bit disappointing to see Iran score 2 goals, one of which was a penalty, which you could argue wasn't a penalty. We should have had a penalty potentially earlier on as well. So there's argument there that we could have won by a higher margin. If it had been 6-1, by the way, fun fact, it would have been our highest scoring margin out of World Cup finals. So it shows that we've hit the ground running in Qatar. And it was a nice, easy game to start the group off. I don't think the next 2 games are going to be as straightforward. USA and Wales drawing 1-1. Gareth Bale was an absolute ghost for the whole game. Turns up, wins a penalty, scores it. Love that from him. But yeah, I think that it's going to be much harder for England going up against the US and Wales over the next 2 fixtures. I think that Wales and US will also pick up maximum points against Iran. So I think we need to be aware of that. If we did manage to get 6 points, you'd have 1 team on 4, 1 team on 1, 1 team on 0, 1 team on 6. That would guarantee us qualification for the next round, and it would just then be about making sure we finish top of the group. So this game up against USA is very, very important indeed. Wales, I think, will just walk through Iran. I think Iran will get themselves a goal. They were dangerous on the counter-attack, to be fair, so I'm going to give them 1 goal. I'm giving Wales 3. And I'm going to go for England 2, USA 1. I think it's going to be a difficult match. More difficult than we're maybe assuming. We could go in there a little bit nonchalant, a little bit overconfident after such a convincing win against Iran that the thing is, right, the US and Wales are going to want to cause an upset. Like, them being in our group, it's written in the stars already that they just want to cheese off English fans. Both nations have reason to do so, so I think it's going to be very, very difficult indeed. I've still gone with the win, though. I'm confident in these England boys. They seem to be getting the job done. Harry Kane has apparently gone in for a scan today as of me recording this, so there's a chance he actually doesn't play against the USA. In which case, all hopes go on Callum Wilson, and I can't wait. Group C brought up the biggest shock so far, arguably. Saudi Arabia beating Argentina. What a game. Those Saudis put everything onto that pitch and left nothing behind. It was an incredible performance. Argentina, on the other hand, looked very lackluster. Did not look at the ability that we expect an Argentine team to be. Which I would argue was a bit disappointing from them. Lionel Messi is a fraud. No, I'm joking. He was quiet, though. He was kept very quiet, but that was very much down to the Saudi Arabian midfield but ganging up on him. Every single time Messi got the ball, 2 Saudi players were there to stop him. And that's what won them the game, if you ask me. A 2-1 win there was very impressive. Mexico and Poland obviously got the draw 0-0, was it? Yes, it was 0-0. A very boring game. But there was the penalty save from Ochoa, which was very impressive, and fair play to him for that. He comes up in the tournaments, doesn't he? He is a tournament goalkeeper for sure. How do I see the second fixtures going? I think Saudi Arabia are now, low-key, a surprise package to potentially qualify out of this group. So I have gone for them to draw 1-1 with Poland, but I've gone for Argentina to beat Mexico 2-1. Now, this goes massively against my predictions in the overall tournament predictions that I did on the channel. Go and check them out if you haven't done so, where I did the whole bracket predicting where people would finish in the group and who would go through and stuff like that. I actually put Mexico to top the group, I believe, and actually go through. However, I don't think that'll be the case. I think it's more likely to be that Argentina do come into this second fixture all guns blazing. They've been massively embarrassed up against Saudi Arabia. They will now be looking to rectify that. And I think that as a result of rectifying that, they're going to have to go through Mexico without any questions asked. So yeah, I'm going for the 2-1 win to Argentina, but I'm hoping Mexico win. I want Mexico to go through with Saudi Arabia from this group. Group D was a little bit more straightforward in its results. However, I didn't expect Denmark to draw to Tunisia. That was a bit of a shock to me. I expected Denmark to do better than that, but it wasn't the case. Australia fought very hard up against France, but their class shined through in the end. It was a bit of a scare for France. Australia getting that goal made us think, here's another upset. We've had an upset with Argentina already today. Let's have another one with France. France went hell no and just turned it on second half in particular and just scored 4 goals. It was, yeah. It was easy in the end. The fitness of the Australian team wasn't quite there. Where do I see us sitting this week? I think Tunisia against Australia in this second game week is an interesting fixture because both teams have something to fight for, because if they do get a result from this game, they could potentially find themselves looking at a second place finish, considering I think that Denmark will probably lose. I've gone for 0-0 between Tunisia and Australia. I think it's going to be very tight, and I've also gone for 3-0 to France over Denmark. I don't see Denmark, from what I saw in their game against Tunisia, having anything to do with putting France off at all in this group. That'll put France on 6 points from 2 games, and I think that that'll see them qualify quite easily from Group D. From now on, there are fixtures that I haven't actually seen happen yet, so it's going to be hard to predict the second fixture for some of these teams. Group E is the first group we're going to talk about here, and it's the biggest upset so far. We've had Japan beating Germany 2-1. Is that better than... So it's not better than Saudi Arabia beating Argentina, actually. No, it's not the biggest upset, but it's a huge upset. Japan were incredible. On the break, they were deadly, and all over the pitch, they threw everything into that game. And it's what the World Cup is all about, let's face it. that German side definitely took a little bit of a hit in their confidence as a result of that game. I haven't seen Spain versus Costa Rica yet. That's not yet happened, or, well, to be fair, it has happened in real life, but I haven't found out the result or watched it because I was working. So I don't know what's happened in that game yet. I will rewatch it after this recording. But yeah, Spain versus Costa Rica, I don't know the result. So that's going to slightly impact me here. We could have a massive Costa Rica win. I don't know. I don't know what's happened. So I can't talk on their performances thus far in the tournament. I just have to go based on my instinct, really. And I'm going to go for 3-0 to Japan over Costa Rica because I was that impressed with Japan. And I'm going to go for 1-1 between Germany and Spain. Before today, I would have gone Germany win. Spain probably haven't got the minerals. I think that it might be very different to that. Having seen that German team struggle up against Japan and fail to break them down and not really have an out-and-out striker, having to play Havertz there, for example, just wasn't good enough for me. So yeah, I think there's going to be 1-1 between those two. It's an interesting group, Group E. Japan could come out of that group, like, if they come out of the group, that's huge. That's one of the big dogs knocked out. So in Group F, I know that Morocco and Croatia drew 0-0. I didn't watch the game. I was working, but I know that they drew 0-0. So I can keep that into account whilst making these predictions. I haven't seen Belgium. I haven't seen Canada yet. They play later this evening as of recording this. So I'm going to go with, I think, pretty straightforward results here. I know Croatia have just drawn against Morocco. I haven't seen how they played, so I don't really know how that played out and whether there was anything in it. But I'll go with the fact that I think Croatia are still a team that are better than Canada. Are Morocco better than Canada? I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out. But I think Croatia is still better than Canada nonetheless. So I'm going for 2-1 to Croatia. And I'm going for 3-0 to Belgium. I still think Belgium will walk this group. It's probably the easiest group to call for who's going to win the group, if I'm honest with you. Every other group, there is a team that could potentially nick it from the other one, especially in a head-to-head. But for me, when it comes to Group F, Belgium are head and shoulders above most of these teams, especially as I've seen the result this morning that Croatia didn't perform well against Morocco. They didn't get the win. So the one team I thought might combat Belgium in some way aren't at the races by the looks of things. So that's why I've gone for 3-0 to Belgium and 2-1 to Croatia. So moving on to Group G and Group H then. Looking in Group G initially, when this video goes out, we won't even know Brazil-Serbia score. And I haven't seen any of these 8 teams play yet because I'm recording this, you know, a day early, and the video will go out at 5 o'clock on the Thursday. And some of the teams will either have just kicked off, Portugal, Ghana, or Brazil-Serbia don't play until 7. So this is completely up in the air. No one really knows what's going to happen here. I still think that looking at Cameroon, looking at Serbia, I still think that they are teams that aren't... They're not going to necessarily beat everyone in this group. I think those are the two that are battling for second. I think that's going to be a pretty close fixture. Switzerland, Brazil, on the other hand, is not going to be a close fixture. I think Brazil win 3-1. I've gone for 2-2 between Cameroon and Serbia. I just think that, yeah, as I said, those are the two teams that are fighting for second. What happens there, I don't know, because I haven't seen either team play yet. So it's a stab in the dark. It's just a random guess. Annoyingly, you guys will be able to predict that much better than me, because you will have been able to have the luxury of having seen these guys play already. Cameroon could be world beaters for all we know, but I don't know. You guys will know, so you got an advantage over me in this prediction game. Final group is Group H, arguably a very close group that I think South Korea could cause an issue in, because they're up against Uruguay first. I do think Uruguay get the win there, but we've seen what's happened in this World Cup with some Asian teams so far, and there's a high chance that South Korea could also cause an upset against Uruguay. I haven't seen it yet, as you guys know. But they're going to be up against Ghana in the second game. I think they get the win there. And then you've got Portugal against Uruguay playing elsewhere. If South Korea get a shock result against Portugal or Uruguay, they could end up topping the group. That's how crazy World Cup football is, and I love it. So I've gone for 2-1 to South Korea against Ghana, and I've gone for 1-1 between Portugal and Uruguay. I think these two teams are the closest two teams in ability across the tournament. Maybe Germany, Spain as well, actually. But in each group, if you look at the closeness between first and second place, considering I don't know, assuming that teams live up to the expectation, Portugal and Uruguay are very close. Portugal obviously have got the class of Ronaldo. Ronaldo's contract has been terminated. He is leaving Manchester United with immediate effect, so maybe that has less of an impact on Portugal now. It's good to have that cleared up before the first game, I'd argue. Will it impact the second game? I don't know. I've gone with 1-1. I've gone with 2-1 to Korea. As I said, it's annoying that I can't see the games and then make the predictions. Otherwise, something might happen which might change my mind completely. So here's a roundup of my predictions for the second round of group games in the Qatar World Cup. We're going for Qatar to lose again, 2-0. We've gone for Netherlands to win 3-1 against Ecuador. In Group B, we've got Wales to win 3-1 against Iran and England to nudge it against USA 2-1. Group C, 1-1 between Saudi Arabia and Poland. Argentina to beat Mexico 2-1. Group D, we've got a goalless draw between Tunisia and Australia, whereas France are going to win 3-0 against Denmark. Group E, we've got Japan to win 3-0 against Costa Rica and Spain and Germany to draw 1-1. In Group F, we've got Belgium to win 3-0 and Croatia to win 2-1 against Canada. In Group G, Serbia is going to draw 2-2 in that first game, with Brazil winning 3-1 against Switzerland. Group H, we've got South Korea to win 2-1 and Portugal and Uruguay to draw 1-1. Remember, guys, we do need you guys to get your predictions in before the first game of the game week kicks off, which I believe, I'm going to check it now, is actually Wales-Iran this week. So make sure you are doing that before Friday at 10 AM UK time. Get your predictions in, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see where our predictions go in this tournament, because it's been very unpredictable so far. If you are enjoying this World Cup, hit a massive thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, with notifications turned on so you know when new videos go live. Thank you for all your support on every series I do at the moment. It's very much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.